we doing, everybody? This is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR and racing podcast. NASCAR would be in wine country, making lefts and rights on back-to-back road course weekends after all the hype of racing on the Naval Base in Coronado. Sonoma would keep the party going out in California as teams continue the West Coast road course swing. ARCA West would start things off on Friday out west. O'Reilly Series would hold things down on Saturday. Connor Zilisch and Shane Van Gisbergen would be in this one as well. Austin Hill looks to go back-to-back after winning the O'Reilly race in San Diego. Cup Series will be ready to make it happen on Sunday, and still all eyes would be on SVG. Can he go back to victory lane in Sonoma, or will someone take him down? Yellow flag, green flag, discussions with Dave, paint scheme of the week, NASCAR history time, Fast Davies bets, interview with driver Lanie Buice, tire diaries, drivers to look out for, and predictions for NASCAR's return to Chicagoland, plus so much more on this episode of Splashy Gas. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. If you're in Cranford, New Jersey for the 4th of July Firecracker 4-miler race, Dave sponsors the 1-mile fun run. If you're in the area, come over to Nobehegan Park and Dave will be there at his booth. And please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Now for the ARCA West Series recap. ARCA West would cue things up to start the weekend out in wine country in Sonoma. After qualifying, Sam Corey would win the pole. Him and Mia Lovell bring the field to green. Two friends of the podcast, Eric Johnson Jr. and Mason Massey, do start on the second row. And from the drop of the green flag until the checkered, it would be all Sam Corey for the 47-lap race. He would have to fend off his teammate, Mia Lovell, in the closing laps, but Corey would be able to hold her off. The 18-year-old, in just his second ARCA Series start, is victorious in the West Series. Congratulations to Sam. Now for the ARCA Series recap from Berlin. Yes, there was another race that wasn't in Sonoma, just a heads up. NASCAR, and as just recapped, ARCA West would be all in action in Sonoma, but ARCA National Series would be ready to rumble at Elko Speedway. After qualifying, New Jersey native Thomas Nunziata would be the fastest, winning the pole. Landon Huffman starts next to him. After battling for several laps, Huffman controls the lead. After starting at the rear, last race's winner, Max Reeves, is already up to 4th, 72 laps in. A restart on lap 81, Reeves and Huffman start to duke it out for the next 70 laps, each taking turns leading. Then heartbreak for Huffman, who has a track bar break while leading. Reeves and Taylor Reimer restart with 87 laps to go. Could someone top Max? Final restart, 55 to go, and it was all Reeves. After having a motor blow in practice, Max Reeves is able to go from worst to first, securing back-to-back victories for him on the ARCA Series. Congratulations, Max. Now for trivia answer time. This episode's question is two-parter. NASCAR returns to Chicagoland this upcoming weekend for the first time since 2019. Name the first driver to win there when Cup raced there first in 2001. And the last winner from 2019. Answers at the end. Now for the O'Reilly Series recap from Sonoma. O'Reilly Series would be ready to give it their all on Saturday out in Sonoma. After qualifying, SVG would win the pole. Go figure. Him and Brett Cruz bring the field to green. Shane clears and leads early, but he pits on lap 18, flipping the stage, just like we see many do in the road courses in a 20-lap stage. Anthony Alfredo and Brett Cruz stay out. Alfredo is able to hold off Cruz en route to the Stage 1 win. Harrison Burton and Blaine Perkins restart for Stage 2. But SVG would pass them both in turn 11, going back to the lead. One caution for fluid on lap 30. Shane would continue to lead until 2 to go. In Stage 2, Connor Zilisch wins the middle stage. Shane and Jesse Love restart. The stage would stay entirely green and just be dominated by Shane. His Trackhouse and JRM teammate Connor Zilisch would try to chip away at that lead, but he would be the only one with a slight chance. 9 to go. Shane has a 12-second lead over Jesse Love in third. Zilisch would just run out of laps, and Shane Van Gisbergen wins in Sonoma on Saturday in the O'Reilly Series. Shifting things to Sunday, Cup Series recap. Cup Series will be ready to go the distance on Sunday out in Sonoma. After qualifying, a surprise, Shane Van Gisbergen would not win the pole. He would start 6th, actually. Ty Gibbs would be the fastest. Him and Carson Hocevar take the field to green. This is Hocevar's back-to-back weekends starting P2 in qualifying in both road courses. Impressive for Hocevar. Ty Gibbs leads early. By lap 18, Shane would be up to second, but elects to flip the stage, pitting on lap 23. Ty Gibbs wins Stage 1. Shane and Kyle Larson restart for the second stage. SVG clears and leads for the first time of the race. Shane leads up until lap 53 when he pits for track position to start Stage 3, giving the lead to Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs sweeps the first 2 stages and wins Stage 2. SVG and teammate Connor Zilisch restart for the third and final stage. Only yellow for incident in the race would occur a lap later. Shane would clear Connor and lead again. Shane would start to put a gap in between him and now Chase Briscoe, who worked up to second. Shane would pit on lap 83, but retake the lead 5 laps later. 10 to go. Briscoe is less than a second behind Shane. Could Chase reel SVG in? Wasn't in dominating fashion as we've seen in the past, but Shane would be able to hold off Chase Briscoe onto another trip to victory lane for him in Sonoma. Quick look back at the predictions we made. Starting out in Elko for the ARCA National Series, went with Max Reeves. He makes it happen. ARCA West tapped buddy of the show Mason Massey. Sometimes that's just racing, and he finishes towards the back. O'Reilly went with Love. He was running top 5 towards the end of that one and loses a couple spots. It comes home 9th. Cup, Daniel Suarez just was not everybody's amigo's day, and he finishes 31st. Now for yellow flag, green flag. Green flag, ARCA, Elko. That 18 Joe Gibbs ARCA team. They blow an engine in practice, have to start from the rear, put it back together, and they just didn't put it back together. They gave Reeves the fastest car out there, and he showed that pretty quickly. Kudos to those guys. Green flag, ARCA West. Mia Lovell passes Sam Corey with 8 to go for the lead, but gets overtaken again by Sam. But she leads a little bit on to a P2 finish. Congratulations, Maya. Yellow flag, O'Reilly. Not like Jordan Anderson Racing is some powerhouse on the road courses, but the results that we saw from Austin Green and Jeb Burton kind of thought they were going in the right direction last year and making strides. Sonoma just was not their day, unfortunately. Ross Chastain in the 32 finishes 37th. Blaine Perkins finishes 30th. And best of the 3, Jeb Burton, finishes 21st. Green flag, O'Reilly. Viking Motorsports. They are on the upswing right now. Anthony Alfredo wins Stage 1 and finishes 4th. Parker Redslob, the second car in that team, finishes 5th. And this just wasn't a flash in the Pan at a road course in Sonoma. Both of these drivers have been running up front throughout this year. Yellow Flag Cup, tough day for the 7 team, as just mentioning. Spire for Daniel Suarez. He's won in Sonoma in the past. That's racing sometimes. Thought they would really have a chance to compete. That team will be looking to regroup out in Chicagoland. Green Flag Cup, Kyle Larson finishes 4th. But so the last 4 races, he's finished in the top 5. And 5 of the last 6, he's finished in the top 5. Yes, it isn't the wins that are being rattled off that we've kind of gotten used to with Kyle Larson being dominant like that in the past. But that 5 team is really making strides, and listening to Kyle Larson on the NASCAR Sirius XM radio, he says he feels that the 5 team is the best they've been all year. They're making it happen. 4th in Michigan, 5th Pocono, San Diego 3rd, last weekend 4th. When is the win going to come for Larson? Because he's sure making it look like that he's going to win soon. Now for Discussions with Dave, Part 1. O'Reilly Series Thoughts. As mentioned, I really do like the schedule with back-to-back road course races, and just with them racing out at the Naval Base, which happens to be in California. They have 2 California road course races in the row. I'm pretty sure that's the first time something like that's ever happened. I don't know, maybe Riverside and Sonoma had back-to-back races in the past, but I wasn't going back that far. But unique for the current day. And of course, in Sonoma, Austin Hill did race, Riley and Cup, but that was a fortunate circumstance that we're in with that situation. But there wasn't really anybody. NASCAR was limiting people to race multiple races, right? It's a new course, so seat time, and that could give someone the upper hand in another series, and NASCAR does make that ruling. But of course, out in Sonoma, we see SVG, Connor Zilisch, Ross Chastain, all full-time Cup guys in this one. And right from flag drop, practice, qualifying, we see Shane go up front. And yes, it's really good to see Connor Zilisch, who dominated this series last year. And fortunately, Cup isn't smooth sailing for him right now. And 100% he needs that development and everything. And I love it when these full-time Cup drivers are in these lower series. Iron sharpens iron. I totally am in favor of that. At this point, with Shane in the O'Reilly series, and yes, he's driving a JRM car. Saw him Shane get all those wins when he was running for Colleague Racing, and they were a top Xfinity team then and competing for championships. As a race fan, when Shane is running at a track in Sonoma where we've seen him be so dominant on O'Reilly, and of course Cup even prior to this season, it kind of feels like a little bit when Kyle Busch was running some of these truck races, O'Reilly races, and you knew that pretty much the guy was going to win, and race goes on, he's leading, and you're just, maybe you're paying attention, maybe you're not paying the most attention because, most likely he's going to win. And of course, Kyle Busch, a total legend of the sport, but just as a race fan, with that domination and not as much of lead changes at the front, it was a little, maybe less entertaining per se, but and that's how racing goes. You're going to have your exciting races, and you're going to have your longer and less exciting races. And O'Reilly, yes, if you were watching the cameras from some of the battles, past Connor Zilisch and Shane Van Gisbergen, they were exciting. Take those guys out of the race, it's an ultra exciting race. But still, nonetheless, Shane is there for a reason. And that's just making these full-time O'Reilly drivers, in my opinion, watching him run, watch his lines, it's just going to make him better. And in the end, I say have no limit on Cup drivers, the limit of truck O'Reilly races that they can run. But NASCAR does have their rules. Still, nonetheless, SVG victorious out in Sonoma on Saturday in the O'Reilly Series, and he just continues it. Technically, Shane wasn't in the ARCA West race, but still a sweep in my book. Goes on to win Cup on Sunday, and the previous results that we've seen from Trackhouse this year totally wrote a little bit of that story. You know, Shane doesn't win the practice and qualifying. We saw him win that the weekend before in San Diego. I mean, Shane does start 6th and gets to 2nd pretty quickly. And then from the results of Zilisch and Chastain, comparing them to years past in Trackhouse is definitely trying to find more speed by some of the more defensive moves that Shane has been making. He from the onlookers' point of view, it seems like they've been bringing, and everyone's trying their best, right? Their full-time jobs, bringing a little bit less speed than we've seen in the past. But Shane, he's a pro and the best in the world at it right now, and he's contending in all 3 stages. He gets up front late, and he keeps it there, and he pits on lap 83. Lap 88, he's back to the lead after Chastain cycles out. There was a point at the end where I did think Briscoe could have a chance to pass Shane if Shane maybe used up a little bit more of his equipment to just get to that point. But in the end, I mean, Briscoe does make it an exciting race, which after how big of a lead, Zilisch does try to make it, a race, not the day before in the O'Reilly Series race, but if you look at 3rd place, that wasn't even, in the zip code. But the Cup race, that was different. It was exciting. Only 1 yellow in the whole race, and really good that we see that race at the end. I mean, Briscoe easily could have passed Van Gisbergen there, but Shane outmuscles him, and on to another road course victory for SVG. And now that brings us to the next question on DWD. Is SVG the best road course driver in NASCAR history? Initial reaction as a full-time NASCAR fan, knowing the way Shane came into the sport, I totally say he's earned his spot in the top 3. And, and you go, hey, Jeff Gordon had all those wins. But if you look at the record sheet now, Jeff Gordon is still at the top. 9 total Cup Series road course wins underneath his belt. 5 in Sonoma, 4 in Watkins Glen. But now SVG is tied for 2nd with Tony Stewart. SVG has 8 Cup Series road course wins on his belt right now. Unfortunately for Shane, there's no more road courses for the rest of 2026, and Shane 100% has been improving on the ovals. Do I see him winning at an oval before the end of the season? I wouldn't be ultra surprised, but I would still have a level of surprise. I think Shane still needs more seat time on that side of things, but I mean, yes, and of course you could also make the argument, back then they didn't run as many road courses as the current schedule. Still, nonetheless, I mean, Shane has been in the series for a few years at this point. I mean, that was Jeff Gordon's whole career. 9 road course wins. That's a lot and a feat itself, and the championships that came along with those wins. And same with Tony Stewart. 8 career road course wins. Shane is going to get in the double digits at some point next year. I mean, 15, 18 road course wins maybe even more, I totally think are in SVG's future if he's staying in Cup Series for what? Another 5-6 seasons? Maybe even longer. I don't think that is an out-of-world thought. So, is SVG the best road course racer in NASCAR history? Without a doubt, yes, he is. Last topic on DWD Part 1. Crazy as it sounds, Cup Series has 8 races remaining until the start of the playoffs, until the chase. And this is the first time in 2026 a driver that is not named Tyler Reddick is atop of the point standings. Yes, Denny Hamlin is number 1 in the points right now by a slim margin of 1 point over Tyler Reddick. But nonetheless, it is still a change. Reddick in second, followed by Blaney, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson fifth, then Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, Carson Hocevar, Daniel Suarez, and Christopher Bell making up the top 10. As we know, 16 drivers from the Cup Series will qualify for the chase to be eligible for the 2026 championship. 11th, Chase Briscoe, William Byron, Bubba Wallace, SVG, Ryan Preece in 15th. And right now, the last man in is Austin Cindric. Then Eric Jones, 17th, Brad Keselowski, AJ Allmendinger, Joey Logano, 20th. So, if you look at that, definitely the top 10, I would say, is, for the most part, I mean, guys that have proved it throughout this year. I am surprised with those 2 Spire guys, between the 3 of them, maybe one of them gets in the playoffs, preseason being reasonable, but they've gotten out there and proved it. 77, tough day in Sonoma for Suarez. He's still 9th in the standings. Each have a win, that team. I mean, Michael McDowell, tough season for him. The third car, the 71 there, he's 21st in the standings. A little bit of a long shot for him, but it wouldn't be crazy. So, and then you got Briscoe, you got Byron, Bubba Wallace. I mean, those guys from 11th to 13, I think those 3 could easily slip into the top 10, But you got Chris Buescher fending for himself. No wins this year yet for Buescher, but 7th in the standings. He's making it happen. And you got SVG in 14th right now. I did just call Shane Van Gisbergen the greatest NASCAR road course driver. And yes, I guess the guys below him, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, have won championships. But, SVG, 425 points right now. That's, I should explain more. My apologies. Ryan Preece, 402. Austin Cindric, 401. Eric Jones, 389. I mean, for Preece and Cindric, that's a race right there. That you could easily get 5, 10, even more points atop of Shane if Shane has a tough day on one of these upcoming ovals. And fortunately, with the schedule this year for Shane, if we looked at last year's schedule, you got Watkins Glen in the playoffs. Then you got the Roval in the playoffs. Things are looking good for SVG. But with Sonoma being the last road course race of the season, I think the straw that's going to break Shane's back and make him not eligible for the playoffs, not qualify with the points, was last weekend in Sonoma, that wreck that took him and Zilisch out, just bleeding so many points away. And not having the win in your in is really a big deal, especially for Shane Van Gisbergen. I believe Ryan Preece, Austin Cindric, Brad Keselowski has more of a hole, and Eric Jones is just really stringing a lot of good races together. And with the remaining schedule for the regular season for Jones, just kind of sets up good for him in my opinion. And right now, I think Jones is going to be that guy in the bubble, but last guy in. 100% sure we are keeping our eyes to the standings pretty much after each and every stage, and of course after the races right now, and we will keep you updated on our content for that. Now for paint scheme of the week. Typically I'm doing paint schemes from past races and stuff that we've gotten all of our eyes on, right? But NASCAR has come out with all their paint schemes. Well, most of the teams have come out with their paint schemes that they'll be riding this July 4th weekend out in Chicagoland. And the 20 Christopher Bell, the SAIA Freight and Logistics 20 is just a patriotic American flag paint scheme. The flaring of the flag on the car, waving of the flag on the car. It's just tough and super patriotic. Check that one out. Now for NASCAR history time. Racing in Chicago through the years. Fred Lorenzen, from the Chicago area, effectively known as the Elmhurst Express, earned his nickname from his hometown of Elmhurst, just on the outside of Chicago, built his reputation at the now defunct O'Hare Stadium. Before becoming one of NASCAR's biggest stars, Lorenzen went on to score 26 victories in the Cup Series and became one of the sport's most popular drivers in the 60s. His outstanding career was recognized when he entered the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2015. Soldier Field isn't just where the Bears play, it's hosted a variety of motorsports events throughout history, thanks to a temporary flat oval track that was built inside the stadium. While it welcomed numerous racing series throughout the year, it staged just one Cup Series event. The historic 100-mile, 200-lap race took place on the field in '56 and was won by none other than Fireball Roberts. The victory added another chapter to Roberts' legacy and remains the only Cup Series race contested on the iconic Chicago venue. From 2011 to 2017, Chicagoland Speedway served as the opening round for the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, making the Chicago area an annual starting point for the start to battle for the championship. Each fall, teams and drivers descended on the Windy City to begin their postseason runs. Now for Discussions with Dave, Part 2. What is going on with Noah Gragson? 2026 has not been kind to the driver of the Ford, Noah Gragson, for Front Row Racing. Currently, he is 30th in the standings, and Noah, up-and-coming driver, competitive and competing for championships on the O'Reilly Series for a number of years, makes the jump to Cup, of course, and it's been tough for the youngster from Las Vegas. Has not been smooth sailing, and since the start of the 2022 season, Noah, in 129 races, yes, that one season he was suspended at the end and did leave Legacy Motorsports. From 2022 to now, Noah leads in DNFs, did not finish with 28. Austin Dillon, Bubba Wallace, 27, 26. And they did that in 162 and 161 races. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 162 races, 26 DNFs. And yes, sometimes these crashes are just out of your control, and not a knock on Front Row Motorsports, but they're not running in the top 5 every weekend, middle of the pack, the Hornet's Nest. Things, can get a little tight, elbows can get up, and unfortunately, that's been happening to Noah a lot. And there's been a lot of rumors about Noah switching teams for 2027. Of course, sounds like there is the question mark with RCR, who's going to drive the second car for them next year, assuming that Austin Dillon is going to come back. But I mean, I don't see Austin Dillon racing in the Cup Series for another 5 years. And Dale Jr. has alluded to this on his podcast. Noah raced for JRM for a number of years on the O'Reilly Series. Seems like Noah still does have a big connection with Johnny Morris and Bass Pro. So do we see Noah go to RCR next year full time? A lot of people are, pointing towards that. And there's actually a lot of people surprised that Noah is even still with Front Row. Sounds like there's been a lot of rumors that, Noah is going to be switching teams and he won't be back at Front Row. So we've seen when other teams find this news, just pull that driver and say, hey, like we're going to get a head start on next season. And with the way that San Diego ended, and I mean, and now hearing this now, it doesn't surprise me, the situation that we're talking about. But if Noah Gragson is not with Front Row next year, where does he land? A lot of people think RCR right now. When I first heard that rumor, I was surprised by it. I get the point with the sponsorship money. I don't see RCR being able to make the strides that they, of course, it's going to be their decision who they have as behind the seat, but for the direction that, of course, they want to go and have duration. If you have a guy rip up, dozen cars halfway through, or a little bit more than halfway through a season, where is a two-team car gonna be realistically? And of course, Noah brings a lot of fans, a lot of grit to whatever racing team he's going to drive for next year. But really looking forward to seeing where that plays out, and we'll keep you updated to that. And that brings us to the next topic, kind of on the same pattern of silly season. A lot of eyes think, or I've said out before, I do think Corey Day is going to replace Alex Bowman next year for Hendrick Motorsports, and I still thought Alex Bowman was going to be racing, 2027 and years to come. Alex Bowman did a long press conference this past week, and is Alex Bowman gonna retire? Because in the interview, he said, just at this point in my life, I want to make the right decision for myself. I'm blessed to be at this point. I don't need to do this forever. And yes, first things first, Alex Bowman last year breaks his back, dirt car racing, misses races, and this year just unfortunately has the vertigo, keeps him out. I believe it was 4 races beginning of this year, and your health is first and foremost. That is very important, obviously. And Bowman, 8 Cup Series wins, still a big feat. Alex is going to have a place in motorsports and a place in NASCAR. He's not going to be out of a job if he's not going to be racing, right? Up until this point, I thought Bowman would still be racing and have that drive, but with all he went through, I totally understand where he's coming from. The words that he used just surprised me as a fan. Really hope that we do see Alex Bowman race for years to come. Last topic on Discussions with Dave, getting into the late model world a little bit, was announced that Chase Elliott will be running the Cars Tour race at North Wilkesboro. Chase is going to drive the number 8 for Junior Motorsports in that one. We've seen Chase do this in years past. It's not like he's running the Snowball Derby, unfortunately. That would be really cool. Still, we see Chase run about 1 or 2 late model races a year, and of course that's typically on the Cars Tour, and he's running a JRM car. And we'll be watching that one. Great to see Cup Series drivers drop down to the short track scene. Love that. Now, our interview of the episode, that's with none other than Lanie Buice. Here's what Lanie had to say. Next guest we bring back onto the show just won the ARCA pole in Pocono a couple weeks ago and has already been to victory lane this year on the Trans Am Series is Lanie Buice. Thank you so much for joining the show again, Lanie.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about some things.
Yeah, of course. Just like you said, sounds like you're having a lot of fun recently. Before we get into the current action, last spoke to you at the beginning of last summer. You run the full Cars Tour 15-race schedule, collecting 7 top 10s, 2 top 5s, finishing 11th in those standings, plus the several ARCA starts. How would you sum up your 2025 season, and where do you feel like you made improvements on as a driver?
Yeah, my 2025 season was so good, and it really kind of built a really good foundation for this 2026 season that has started out well. And I feel like working with Lee Pulliam, being in the Cars Tour, having the select ARCA races that I have with Rev Racing, and all of those things just really set me up well. I learned a ton, and the experience that I got from running all the different types of cars and being able to run up front in the Cars Tour, making laps at tracks like Kansas and IRP and those types of places in the ARCA Series were also so well. And it was really, really helpful to set me up for a successful year this year.
Awesome. Really do appreciate that. As we seen earlier this year on the O'Reilly side, kind of highlighted with Lee, I mean, how much did you learn from him? I mean, it really seems like he has a wealth of knowledge.
I learned a ton. Lee has been a huge part of my career and just making me a better driver last year. And he offered so many good examples of the driver that I want to be. And I think being able to see him succeed in the O'Reilly Series at the beginning of this year in hopes that he will get another shot at it. But it's really cool to see. He's a great person, and he hasn't really gotten his shot yet, and I think that it's really cool to be able to see him get his opportunity, and I hope that he has many more to come.
For sure. Same here as a race fan. I appreciate you touching upon that. You ran a couple Trans Am races last year. This year you're running the full 12-race TA2 series schedule. How did that deal come up, and what's it like working with this team for a full season?
It's really amazing. I had the opportunity come up last year in September to be able to run VIR with them, and I immediately took that opportunity, and thanks to Chevrolet and Josh Wise, Scott Speed, the whole Wise optimization program, they put that deal together for me, and I was able to go run VIR, and that kind of kickstarted my road course career, I guess you could say. And so, yeah, that kind of one thing led to another, and the opportunity to run with them full-time came up, and thanks to Chevrolet for that opportunity. And it's really cool working with Team SLR and Scott Lagacy and everyone over there. It's been amazing. The road course world is a bit different than the oval racing world, and I think just the process of learning all the different tracks and road racing isn't easy. So I think that's been a big transition for me and just trying to learn a new skill. But thanks to my teammates, I have incredible teammates with Team SLR, and so they've been super helpful. And I'm able to look at data every weekend. And then when you look at the Wise optimization program with Chevrolet, I'm able to prep really well for these race weekends. And so every single bit of it is just a huge step in my career of really preparing me for my future goals and what I want to do one day.
That's awesome. See more and more young drivers race in the Trans Am Series now, and that's really great that you got a good team in your corner. Mentioned in the intro, you win on the TA2 Western Series in Sonoma earlier this year. You're the first female to win in Trans Am history. How was what was it like to get that win, and what did it mean to you?
It was really, really cool. Just the process of it all. The whole weekend was really well put together for us, and I'm super proud of Team SLR and the hot rod car that they brought to the racetrack that weekend. And yeah, it was cool to overcome and make history. And I hope that there's many more behind me that are able to do the same thing. It's really cool. As soon as I went there and got to race, it quickly became one of my favorite racetracks. Super cool place, and California's beautiful, so it was cool to be out there during that week and race at that racetrack. And yeah, it was just a good weekend that we put together, and I'm excited about it. We definitely were able to carry that momentum forward into the different racetracks that I've been to since then, and so it was just a really good momentum building weekend for us, and it's definitely carried throughout the rest of the past few weeks. And yeah, it was cool to win. Really cool to win. It was cool. It gets you excited for more to come.
Awesome. Yeah, was very exciting. Seeing the highlights after and seeing the pictures for sure. And just like you mentioned, hope you can inspire some young girls that are at the racetrack. So appreciate touching upon that. And recently you ran Lime Rock in Connecticut at the end of May, and then a couple weekends ago in Indianapolis. How were both of those weekends for you after you just mentioned that momentum after the win?
Yeah, it's actually crazy. I actually had someone fill in for me at Lime Rock.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, the week before, it stayed super undercover just because I wanted to make sure that my body healed correctly. But I actually had a throttle hang at Tri-County at a late model race, and
Oh, geez.
got a concussion, and so that put me out of the car for a few weeks. My first weekend back was Michigan, and ARCA. So I took about 3 weekends off and got right back to it at Michigan. But yeah, I raced at Indy 2 weeks ago, and then I had Road Atlanta just yesterday. So it's been really good. Indy was okay for us. It was a good momentum building weekend too. And every weekend is a momentum building weekend, just how you look at it. I feel like for me, Road America was really our best weekend. We finished fourth yesterday, and that was really exciting with really good momentum for us to continue to go to Watkins Glen next. I ran up front, top five for the last half of the race, and really had a chance to get on the podium. Just didn't quite capitalize on it like I had hoped. So really good weekend in Road America for us, and I'm super grateful for Team SLR. I've come a long way in the road course stuff, and it's taken me, I would say 6 or so races, right? And it's good to see the progress that I've made and knowing that I'm closing the gap on figuring it out.
Got it. Glad you're feeling better after that wreck at Tri-County. And last question on the Trans Am stuff. You mentioned learning a lot in these 6 races. Don't want you to give up any secrets, but what are a few things that you feel like you've made improvements? Going to the last few races on the schedule for this season.
The biggest thing I would say is just, confidence, first of all. I feel like confidence is huge, and obviously not coming from the road racing side of things and moving into that this year, it's been something I've had to build just because it's something that's out of my comfort zone. So I feel like working on that confidence has been huge for me, and then also the WISE program with Chevrolet, Josh Wise, Scott Speed, Dan Stratton, they've all been a huge help, and breaking things down and helping me to understand how to go faster on a road course. So all of that information has been super helpful for me, and I'm learning so much. It's going to help me throughout the rest of my career, and I'm really working on building a good foundation right now so that I can do this as long as possible and just continue to build and learn every single weekend is so important. And the road course stuff is great for that. And the WISE group has been incredible in helping me to do that the correct way and helping me find speed every single weekend.
That's exciting. Just as you were saying, sounds like you have a really good team, and learning a different facet of racing and building that foundation, as you just mentioned. Really appreciate you touching upon that. And turning towards the ARCA side of things with a Pinnacle this year, we've seen how dominant they've been in past seasons. You're on a 5-race schedule for them for 2026. 3 races in. Before we get into the track specifics, what's it been like to work with everyone at PRG?
It's been incredible to be able to work with them. They are the best group of people, and they're so hardworking, and it's so awesome to be able to work with them and to be supported by them. They do it right. They're a great team, great people. They bring really fast race cars to the racetrack, and I'm super grateful for that. I feel like, I'm learning, and the biggest thing right now is me having a really good support system around me. So they know that it's going to take time for me to learn this stuff, and like I said, I'm still new to the ARCA racing stuff as well, and so just trying to figure it out and pick it up as quick as possible. But I think I'm super grateful for just how supportive they are and patient with me trying to figure it out and trying to win races.
They're for sure bringing fast cars to the track, as we've seen in past years, for sure. And what we've seen in your results already, and the 3 tracks that you have on the schedule, or that you have ran already, Kansas, Michigan, and Pocono, definitely different than the short tracks that you're used to running in the late model. P5 in both Kansas and Michigan. What did you learn on those bigger tracks there, and how did you feel leaving each of those?
Yeah, Kansas was the first one that I ran with them, and leaving that weekend, I knew I left a lot on the table. They brought a really fast car, and I just didn't quite capitalize on it like I had hoped to, and then moving on to Michigan from Kansas was, you go back to the shop and you watch the race over again, and you're like, geez, like I really messed up on this. So it's cool to be able to go back and watch the races and have the group that I have around me to be able to show me exactly what I did wrong and where I can improve so that I can become better every single weekend. But part of building a career is making mistakes every single weekend. So I definitely made mistakes at every single track I've been to, but they've been mistakes that I can learn from and come back and be better at every single weekend. So we've definitely made progress over the last 3 races, and it's really exciting to see the confidence that I'm building and the career that I'm building as well. And I feel like I have Chicagoland on Friday, so I'm excited for that and to use all that I've learned over the past 3 races to hopefully go for a win this weekend.
Heck yeah! Glad that you're building on that, and we'll have a few questions on Chicagoland in a second. Getting into Pocono, last year you mentioned the difficulty of qualifying, in the late model, and how you've been working on that. 2 weeks ago in Pocono, you put down the fastest lap in qualifying. How were you able to execute that and get that fast time?
Yeah, it was really cool to do. First career pole in ARCA is a really big accomplishment for me, and I was super excited about it. I've never led the field to green in ARCA, so it was really neat. It's just been a process. It's been building confidence and figuring out what mindset works best for me and how to turn that on and turn that off when I need it. And that's exactly what we did, and we went out and we executed, and obviously PRG brought a really fast car and given me the opportunity to do that, but my group prepped really well for it, and I set myself up for success on qualifying on the pole. And it's not an easy thing to do, and none of this is, honestly, and I think that's the biggest thing, of just trying to work really hard at it every single day and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, but you never really do figure it out, so you kind of just roll with it and keep going.
Yeah, and as you mentioned 2 questions ago, it's great that you have the honest criticism that you can build on and improve on those mistakes, as you just mentioned, and it's great. Congratulations on the pole. It's great that you're able to have that. I know the race ends in a P5 finish, but it's great to have see some of the fruits of the labor. And being from New Jersey, Pocono is one of my home tracks, and throughout the years, especially in Turn 1, have seen some hard wrecks there. How were you able to navigate the tricky triangle on that P5 finish?
Yeah, I think that was the hardest part. ARCA hadn't been there in 3 years, and the difference is the track had changed a lot. The cars are a little bit different now, and so I think just my prep was really well for the weekend, but I didn't quite expect the tire fall off as much as it did. So as a group, we weren't quite as prepared for that as we could have been. Hopefully that helps the team for next year when they go back there. But they brought a really good car, and I just didn't quite do my job on the tire fall off side of things and managing that before it really fell off. So, yeah, definitely something that I learned from and actually will be really useful this weekend when we go to Chicagoland.
Got it. Yeah, tire management, just like you mentioned, definitely a trickier thing to catch on. And then you just mentioned Chicagoland this upcoming weekend. P5 and all three previous starts this year. How are you going to get the 77 to the front of the field again?
Yeah, I think our biggest goal for the weekend is to try and break this little P5 streak that we have going on in hopes that we can move forward. But yeah, just prepping well, and I'm very positive. I'm very confident in the fact that Pinnacle Racing Group is going to bring me a really fast car. So just doing my part and doing my part, and hope that that's what it takes to be up front and just racing a little bit better. I think it's been a little bit of a learning curve for me to learn these cars and how they race in dirty air and all those types of things. So that's been a little bit of a change and something I've had to work on. So hopefully all the work that I've put in over the past few weeks will really go into play this weekend.
Great things for a young driver like yourself to see, and just like you mentioned, putting in a lot of work. So really hope to see you up front at the top of these last two ARCA races, and getting into your last scheduled ARCA race of the year, Kansas. So you obviously run Kansas early this year, P5. Saw Butterbean win there before last year. I mean, how do you feel with the opportunity being able to return to a track on the ARCA side with kind of the limited schedule? Seems like a great opportunity for you.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it because I've, had 4 more ARCA races under my belt before I go back to Kansas. So I think just the opportunity of being able to learn so much and then going back to a track that I've been to before is going to be really big for me. And I'm excited about the progress that I've made over the past few months. And so being able to go there and use that in the fall will be really, really cool. And I'm excited for it. Honestly, it's probably one that I look forward to the most just because I know that we're going to go back there and we're going to be even better than we were a few months ago. And I'm excited for it. And hopefully we can run up front and hopefully end up getting the checkered flag by the end of it.
Yeah, for sure. Good to have the opportunity to execute on some of the things that you learned earlier the year. And really appreciate the time, Lanie. Best of luck in Chicagoland. Going to be rooting you on from New Jersey here, and really appreciate it. Hope to have you on before the end of this year again.
Yeah, that sounds great, and thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Safe travels out there.
Thank you so much.
Yep, see ya.
Great to catch up with Lanie. Appreciate her time. Now let's look in and make predictions for the round of 16 for the NASCAR Cup Series Bracket Challenge. And back-to-back years having this bracket challenge, starting with 32 drivers, the 32nd seed in 2 years in a row has defeated the number 1 seed. Alex Bowman has defeated Tyler Reddick after Tyler Reddick has one of those days out in Sonoma. Last year, we saw in the first round Denny Hamlin get defeated by Ty Dillon. Splash of Gas went with the prediction, and Bowman makes it happen. So, it's just pretty cool. Obviously, the seeding is supposed to be like March Madness. The teams and matchups are a little bit more even, obviously, but still nonetheless really exciting. As I said last episode, and at the end of the bracket challenge last year, going into the bracket challenge last year, I was like, this is dumb. Like, who's going to pay attention to this? And then Dylan goes out there and beats Denny, and I'm glued to it. So really excited for this, and really exciting for Alex to have that head-to-head win over Tyler Reddick. So let's look at the matchups for the round of 16 for Chicagoland. Alex Bowman versus Austin Cindric. Give me Bowman again. Then you have Todd Gilliland against Carson Hocevar. Give me Hurricane Hocevar. And then this isn't the only matchup against teammates. Then you got Chase Briscoe versus Ty Gibbs. Give me Ty. I feel like he's going to get the upper hand over Chase. Both of them have been running real good. That should be a real competitive battle for sure. You got Michael McDowell over Chase Elliott. McDowell, not surprised he wins over head-to-head over Bubba Wallace on the road course stuff. But I just think Chase will edge him out. Then you got Denny Hamlin, Eric Jones. Eric has been running really good recently, and in all honesty, kind of have this one as a toss-up, but give me Denny. Then you got Chris Buescher versus Christopher Bell. This one should also be a really close one, I feel like. But in the end, I have Bell circled, but yeah, let's keep it Christopher Bell. Go with the 20 card, taking Chris Buescher head-to-head. And then the second matchup where we have teammates going ahead, William Byron versus Kyle Larson. But I'm riding that number 5 train. Think he goes on to another top 5 finish, topping Willie B. Last but not least, the matchup between SVG and Ryan Blaney. It's not on a road course. Give me Blaney. Now for the Tire Diaries, Chicagoland. As we've mentioned, a lot of excitement with NASCAR going back to Chicagoland, the 1.5-mile track in Joliet, Illinois. Similar demands on tires to the intermediate ovals. So Goodyear is selecting a tire setup that we've seen, several times at similar tracks. This tire setup was chosen after an April tire test in Chicagoland that featured Larson, Blaney, and Denny Hamlin, plus O'Reilly drivers Justin Allgaier and Brandon Jones. Then the Cup Series tires for this weekend were most recently used at Nashville and also in Michigan, plus Pocono. So a lot of familiarity. On the O'Reilly side, we'll run right side tires that debuted at Charlotte in May, and then left side tires that we've seen several times this year at Nashville. And on tracks 1 mile and longer, teams will run inner liners inside their tires. With NASCAR coming back to Chicagoland for the first time since 2019, that track, outskirts of Chicago, a lot of talk, being up in the northeast, northwest, the track, a lot of sun, heat in the summer, expands, then in the winter, contracts, obviously. So what's that surface going to be like? A lot of people thinking it's going to be a cheese grater to the tires. I agree with that. Going through all the weather cycles since 2019, sounded like there's on the driver's side, there were several bumps in Chicagoland. Was maybe more of a bumpier track. I think those bumps are going to come into play. I think drivers with experience at this track are going to show out, but how big of a difference from 2019 to now is the track going to come into play? And that's really the big question on that side of things. So let's look at the tire count. Starting with O'Reilly, they will have 7 sets, 1 qualifying, which transfer to the race, 2 for practice, and 2 new sets for the race. Cup Series, it will have 12 sets total, 8 for the race, 1 qualifying, which scuffs that transfer, and then 3 for practice. Now the drivers to look out for Chicagoland, starting with the ARCA Series. The guy from New Jersey, Thomas Annunziata, was on the pole week before. Can he get that 70 car farther up? We'll see. Daniel Dye will be quick in that 24. Jake Bowman in the 20, current points leader. What can he do? Can he finally get a win? Lanie Buice in the 77. We were just talking to her. Pole and Pocono. Top 5s all throughout this year. Can she get that 77 to victory lane? Connor Mozak, her teammate, in the 28. That car's always quick. Gavin Bushell, the youngster, will be driving the 25. William Zilisch, favorite right now in the Joe Gibbs 18. Can that car go 3 race wins in a row? Great to see the 71 Talladega winner from this year, Andy Jankowiak. Jade Avedisian should be quick again in the 15. Then Isabella Robusto in that 55. Now, O'Reilly Series drivers to look out for: Parker Redsloff, Anthony Alfredo. Both of those Viking Motorsports cars have been really building a resume. Each driver has, and just furthering that team. Can they get a win soon? Sure think another top 5 for each of those guys could be in the cards. Chase Elliott's going to be in the 88, favorite for sure. JJ Yealy, good to see him. A veteran driver, then you know, look at some veterans. You got JJ, Austin Hill, Jeb Burton, of course Justin Allgaier. Guys that have raced in Chicagoland in the past. Also can't forget Cole Custer, who will be in the 0. You also got Sheldon Creed. Connor Zilisch is hopping in this one in the 1. Jesse Love in the 2 should be quick. Corey Day, William Sawalich, and that fast Toyotas, Brent Cruz, Brandon Jones, those guys should be in the mix too. Now the drivers to look out for the Cup Series on Sunday. Past Chicagoland winners that are still racing: Alex Bowman, last guy to win there in 2019. Brad Keselowski, who's won there twice. And then you got Denny Hamlin. We've seen Kyle Larson run especially well at Chicagoland, second in 2019. And we know what happened between that battle, the Kyle and Kyle show between Larson and Busch in 2018. Joey Logano, he was third in 2019 and veteran presence, but a lot really depends on what that surface is going to be like, and we'll find out early with how everything goes with the ARCA Series race. We mentioned Blaney. Eric Jones has had some good runs out there, or 7th in 2019 when he was running for Joe Gibbs. Austin Dillon was 10th that year. Can that 3 team make a charge? Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 2 other guys that have logged laps at Chicagoland and have had all right finishes there. So see what those veteran guys can do, and see what the fresh group of guys can do as well. Now for Fast Davies bets. O'Reilly Series. Give me a parlay for Justin Allgaier and Chase Elliott, both to be in the top 5. Cup Series, Ryan Blaney, top 5 is plus 135. Now for trivia answer time. This week's question is, and one of the answers I might have just given away, but 2-parter. NASCAR returns to Chicagoland this upcoming weekend for the first time since 2019. Name the first driver to win there when Cup Series first visited there in 2001, and the last winner from 2019. 2019 winner, just mentioned it, Alex Bowman. And the 2001 winner also won the race the following year in 2020 or 2002. None other than Kevin Harvick. Now, predictions for Chicagoland, starting with ARCA. Give me William Sawalich. O'Reilly, give me Justin Allgaier. And Cup Series, Ryan Blaney. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, aka Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube are all Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. I hope each and everyone has a fantastic 4th of July weekend as we all celebrate the 250th anniversary of the USA. Till next time, everybody, Splash of Gas out.